Here's a question for you. Are you allowing yourself to be celebrated? Are you putting points on the board? Are you doing things that matter enough so that people are like, wow, you did that. You took that step. You created that business. You built that company. You took that action to make a difference in the lives of folks that are around you. I say it all the time on here. Everybody doesn't have the same gifts and talents and can do the same thing. But what is important is that you keep in mind what is the thing that I can do so that people can see my momentary impact, that people can see that I was prepared for the moment. Hi everybody, Lee Scott here. Thank you for watching and are listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee. We talk about life, leadership, and legacy, and we'll help you unleash your capacity and level of leadership. Y'all, I'm back, and it's so exciting to be back to share about life, leadership, and legacy. It's been a really, really interesting summer for me, and I can't wait to share with you in the upcoming episodes, especially my annual birthday episode of just what the last year of my life has looked like. And so I'm super excited to talk today and be back to talk about some new things that I really enjoyed and have been rested and just been thinking about over the last few months. And so I wanted to start out with this thought that I've been having. If you were casually just paying attention for most of this spring, you noticed that we had a return of the cicadas, and these are periodic cicadas. And cicadas, the United States was actually inundated with two types of cicadas this year. There was a brood called the brood X1X, which comes every 13 years, and the brood X111 or X13, which is every 17 years. And we have never had this happen in literally over 200 years, where these two types of cicadas end up coming at the same time. And literally billions of this insect what blanketed the Midwest and Southern US. And as I just stated, the last time this happened was a few centuries ago. The last time it actually happened was in 1803 when Thomas Jefferson was president. And so this is such an unprecedented and unique event that happened, or occurrence that happened. And it led me to thinking about this subject that I have for today. And this idea of momentary impact. We're going to talk about momentary impact. And I really want to say, the question I want to raise to you is, are you aware of your moment? Now, as you know that I do here on Leading, I always give you my definition of leadership because I think every person has capacity and level of leadership. And we want to have a conversation about this idea of leadership development and leadership growth. And you have to know that you have something to give to the world and can make a big difference. So here's my definition of leadership. I believe that leadership is seeing something that has not happened yet and taking people, organizations, and personal processes in that direction. Leadership is seeing something that has not happened yet and taking people, organizations, and personal processes in that direction. Momentary impact. And this idea has been permeating my mind over the last few months. And especially before I went on break, I was thinking a lot about how one decision, how one action could literally change the course of history for people. So I got 4 points today, and I want to get into those 4 points, but I want to give them to you here at the outset just to kind of give you some framing of what I'm going to be talking about today. So, okay, here's my 4 points. Number one, every action has a reaction. Number two, the reveal will cost you something. Number three, the moment can lead to momentum. And number four, your moment will become a movement. So here's my first point. Every action has a reaction. It's Newton's law that states that every action there is a equal and opposite reaction. That is the scientific method by, as we know, Thomas Newton. You may or may not be a really, really engaged person in the culture, but if you've been paying any attention to what's been going on here in America, we are in an election year. And it has been a really, really unprecedented and unpredictable year. Initially, the candidates that were going to be present in this election were literally going to be a repeat of the 2020 election between Republican former President Donald Trump and between the current president of the United States, Joe Biden. And many folks are quite unhappy with their choices. There were people in the polling world and folks in the media spaces labeling a lot of Americans who didn't feel good about their choices as double haters. These folks were not really excited about the prospect of choosing between these two gentlemen who they chose from 4 years ago. But some unprecedented things happened over this summer. If you might have been paying attention, these candidates debated each other, and someone was a very disappointing and saddening affair for many of those who were undecided in the election. Depending on which side you're on, you might have had a different perspective about the prospective candidates in the race. And you were probably thinking, okay, my candidate probably looks better, or my candidate looks bad, or we need to make some changes. And there were a lot of uproar and a lot of things that were ways people were responding as it relates to what happened in that debate. And that made a big difference in the process. And then a few weeks later, out of nowhere, we see an assassination attempt on former President Trump, where somebody almost took his life at a rally, and someone lost their life at his rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. It was a wild and crazy event. This is the first time this has happened in literally 30 or 40 years in American history, where there was an assassination attempt on the U.S. president, or even former U.S. president or former U.S. president. And it was wild. And then literally the next week, the Republicans held their national convention, and he picked his vice presidential nominee. And then right after that, literally after their convention on Sunday of the following week, President Biden, who had been in the race, decided to drop out of the race. Many people have been imploring him to make a decision or do something different. He drops out of the race, and then he endorses his vice president, Kamala Harris. And now she has become the Democratic nominee for this 2024 election. She gathered all the delegates and all those different things. And a lot of the support shifted behind her. And she just recently picked her vice presidential nominee, and Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. And I know you probably were like, Lee, we didn't really need to know all that information. But there was something that was happening in this idea of every action has a reaction, that the people in the public were feeling the intensity of just those changes and transitions, and it going from the race looking one way, and then all of a sudden there was a snapshot in time where it looked different. But prior to the debate that happened between the former president and the president, there were views about the race, and then you have this situation happen where it literally changes everything, where all the attention is now on from President Trump, and then President Biden drops out the race, and then it causes a lot of people to be like, okay, what's going to happen next? And then we see the president get behind Kamala Harris, and then all these different things. And in the midst of all these different things, every transitional moment, no matter what your views of the situation is, the facts cause a shift in people's perspective about what was going to happen in the election. And you can apply that to your own life. There may be things that are happening in your life right now that is a reaction to something. Your action is a reaction to what somebody said or did and to you. Your reaction is something that might have happened at work, might have happened on your job, may happen with your family and friends or spouses or whatever. That you are responding to what's happening around you. And the one thing that matters is you're the only one that can control your response. You are the one that controls your response. It is up to you to be disciplined enough to know whether or not you want to say or do something that could have a huge impact on how people respond or receive what you have to say. And it matters that you keep this in perspective, because especially now, we have so many things happening in our environment, so many things happening in our culture, that if we're not careful, we could put ourselves in a position where we are reactionary. And I don't want to be a reactionary person. I want to be a person that initiates transformation in my own life, in my family, in the people connected to me. I want to be an individual that is on top of his stuff. I want to be someone that is proactive. And the reason why we talk about these different things here on leading is because I want you to know that there is a strategy to actually moving in better in your life. You have to think through the process of what it looks like. Hey, I'm going to be a better respondent to issues that's going on around me. I'm not going to be reactionary all the time. I'm just going to be someone who says, you know what, I'm going to respond in a different way because life does not always go the way that I like. There are things that are going to happen that I didn't plan for. There are things that are going to happen that I didn't set up. Trust me, I can tell you there's some things that happened in my life that I could literally think back on. I'm like, I did not plan for that, but I was prepared based on my mindset and how I thought about the moment. Even as we're talking right now, the Olympics just wrapped up, and I'll talk a little bit more about sports in a moment, but there were people who had to make adjustments and make changes in how they responded or reacted to things that were happening in their races, or what they had to respond to changes that were happening around them. They couldn't sit back on their laurels and not do anything. They had to respond, because if they didn't respond, they would have lost the game or lost the match or didn't bring a medal back for their nation. But it mattered that they thought about how they were going to respond. And that's important for you in your life, that you recognize, hey, I have to have a response. I have to have a way that I gather information or pick up the things that's happening around. Because it does matter. It does matter that you in your life respond in a healthy and productive way. And so I hope that you will recognize that you have agency in that you have an opportunity to continue to just move forward if only you recognize the value of how you feel about situations and respond in kind. My next point is the reveal will cost you something. All of us have had this a great experience of going to baby showers or going to a gender reveal party or something like that. And generally, most of the time, folks don't know what's going to happen, right? You go into this party or you go to this event, and you've seen the videos on social media where folks will be standing outside their home or they'll be standing somewhere and they have like a confetti cannon, or they have a diaper bag, or they have something, or they come up with something creative to reveal to their family and friends that, number one, or they're pregnant, or I recently just had this experience with people in my family, but they reveal that they're pregnant, or they reveal the gender of their child. And it's always exciting when this happens. It's always like everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. But the flip side of there are consequences to that reveal, right? The consequences are that this child will begin to grow in his parents' womb, his mother's womb. That child will begin to expand in his mom's body, and his mom will have to deal with the weight of this child. Will at some point not be able to see her feet because this baby is growing in her. That she might have some back pain in that process. That she may have some cravings of different foods and different things like that. That there might be some rough sleeping at times. Right? Like all of these things are a byproduct of the reveal. That people say, hey, we're going to set up a baby shower for you because we found out that you were pregnant. It's weird. Let's be real. It will be weird to have a baby shower if you're not pregnant. we would actually think you're crazy if you did that. But it's something about the action of revealing that can have an impact on somebody's life. Anonymity is lost. Freedom to move without questions, freedom to move without attention disappeared. And all of this are a result of the reveal. When people find out that you have something, or you're doing something, or you have some impact on the world, attention tends to go to that place. Again, as I referenced a little bit earlier, we saw that during the Olympics. All of these young people that engaged or literally participated in the Olympics these past few weeks, the anonymity is gone for them. They're going to go back to their native city or nation or community. And there's probably going to be parades for them. And there's probably going to be banners of them everywhere because they brought so much pride to that community. They brought so much joy to their community. I have a friend of my wife, which is a wonderful person. Her name is Bethany. And we found out recently that she had a day named after her. She used to be a very, very successful swimmer. And she's won several medals in swimming. She actually competed in some international games, in the Pan America Games. She did some Olympic trials at different points in her life. And because of her efforts, because of her success, they literally have a day named after her in her hometown. And they celebrate her. And she has a Wikipedia page where they talk about her greatness. She's very humble about it. But one of the things that she just can't do in her hometown is just go back there and think it's nothing. People know that the day is named after her. People know her accomplishment. When she told us, we were like, are you serious? Like, why you've never told us this? Why are you so humble about it? And I love the fact that she's humble about it, but it's just one of those things where you start realizing that one accomplishment, that one act of fulfilling her moment in her life brought her into a place of revelation where people start to celebrate what she was doing. Here's a question for you. Are you allowing yourself to be celebrated? Are you putting points on the board? Are you doing things that matter enough so that people are like, wow, you did that. You took that step. You created that business. You built that company. You took that action to make a difference in the lives of folks that are around you. I say it all the time on here. Everybody doesn't have the same gifts and talents and can do the same thing. But what is important is that you keep in mind what is the thing that I can do so that people can see my momentary impact, that people can see that I was prepared for the moment, that I was ready for the moment, that I was actually locked in to do the things that I needed to do. Because it matters in the process of your growth, and it matters in the process of making a difference in your own life and the lives of those you're connected to. I'm going to take a break for a moment right here, but I'll be right back after this message. Want to promote your business, products, or services? Email me at scottconsultations@gmail.com. I would love to push forward the banner of what you're trying to accomplish, whether it is a product, whether it's your services or your business. I would love to work with you and be an advocate for what you're doing in your respective spaces. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you. And we are back. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you've been encouraged and motivated to do something significant in your life and actually be a part of the process of transformation in the lives of others. And one of the things that we've been talking about today is how we can seize our moments, how we can be about the action of making a difference in our own lives, but also making a difference in the lives of those who are connected to us. My third point that I want to share with you all today is the moment can lead to momentum. The moment can lead to momentum. As you heard earlier, I was referencing the Olympics that happened over the last few weeks, leading up to me sharing today on leading, and how there were several moments throughout the Olympics where it made a big difference whether or not somebody got a medal or not. It made a big difference in who won the game. One serve on the volleyball court, one block on the volleyball court, one shot in a basketball game, one very smooth pass during a track meet, one lean. We literally saw an Olympic gold medal be won based on the fact that a sprinter leaned forward in order to cross the line first. He won by a hundredth of a second. Like literally, we saw these moments where literally people were winning races within seconds of each other because they made an effort to get to the goal that they had. And that's something that's real for all of us. That one moment propelled them to stardom, to legacy, to transformation for the rest of their lives. They can say, hey, I'm an Olympic medalist. I won the bronze, the gold, the silver. We literally saw it happen where there are even some countries, for the first time in their nation's history, they had a gold medal winning athlete from their country. Some of these countries, this was the first medal they won. St. Lucia was one country where literally the first time in their nation's history, they had a medal winner. And it was a gold medal in track and field. Right? Like, these things literally made a difference in how people saw themselves and saw the world. It's because one moment is going to create momentum. There's a quote that I used to have on my wall when I lived in Tulsa, my former apartment, and it always used to strike me. It said that the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. The Malcolm X quote, he says, the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Like you and I, if we want to start momentum, we have to prepare today for it. If we want to see the things that we need to see transform in our communities and our society, it's got to start with us today. We can't be sitting back on our laurels or pretending like we don't need to do something. You and I have an obligation to engage today in order for tomorrow to change. We see that in the life of people like Tom Brady. It's super important for you to understand that you have to prepare to succeed. You see that in Brady's life. There's a documentary, and you heard me reference this before on here. He was a extremely prepared player. He worked out in the off season. He did different workouts. He would try different things to stay healthy and stay long. We see with LeBron James, who has been probably one of the longest playing players in the NBA. Literally, LeBron James has been playing at an elite level for a long time. But there's something about their preparation that actually contributes to their longevity, that because they spend so much time and value taking care of their body, they spend so much time preparing for what they need to prepare for. It made a big difference in their play during the season. I remember watching a docu-series on Netflix called Quarterback. And it focused on several NFL quarterbacks. It spoke to Kirk Cousins and Marcus Mariota and Patrick Mahomes. And it was such an interesting engagement with these three quarterbacks, because with Patrick, what I thought was really interesting is he has such a great preparation in the offseason. He actually practices his sidearm throws. He's known for having kind of like a very acrobatic and in some ways baseball-like operation when he plays football. He's a former baseball player. His father is a former baseball player who's had a pretty successful pitcher in his career. And you could see that Patrick adopted some of the philosophy that he saw from his father and saw in playing baseball himself. That he actually will practice those side throws that he's known for, those cross-body passes that he's known for, those unique passes that he makes. He'd actually practice those before games and in the offseason. So it seems seamless when he starts playing during the regular season. And we're wondering, oh my gosh, how is he making these passes? How is he making that throw? How is he doing these different things? And that's important for you and I to know, because the reason why he's doing it is because he prepares for it. What if we're actually holding ourselves up because we won't prepare for it? Because in reality, moments in your life will come. Moments for you to do something significant will come. But it's based on your preparation. And here's the thing. We just don't want you to just be able to do it one time. We want you to be able to start moving in a direction, to change the course. We've been talking about changing momentum, right? We've been talking about how your moment matters throughout this talk that I've been sharing. But it starts with but actually being ready for the moment, preparing for the moment. You never know when it's going to happen. You never know when you'll be the next up. You never know when it's time for you to step into a game and be the most effective and efficient. It can make a world of difference if you recognize that your preparation leads to significant moments. Again, sports is a great space to see this. Everybody can understand that. Everybody can understand it. There were several basketball games as I was watching the U.S. men's basketball team that if one player didn't have a significant game, they might have lost the game. The guys, even if they were coming off the bench, were prepared. They were prepared to be elite. They were prepared to win. They were prepared to give their best efforts to ensure that their team won. And the fact of the matter is, for you and I, we can live in that space if we would recognize and see ourselves as having momentum, as starting to move in a new direction. Maybe for you, it's just one simple action. Hey, I'm going to wake up at a certain time. Hey, I'm going to start engaging certain people that I haven't been engaging. Hey, I'm going to just do some very specific things to put me in a different space and put me on a different trajectory. But what it's going to come down to is your willingness to recognize your moment and see that it leads to momentum. And my last point, your moment can become a movement. Your moment can become a movement. We know about the history of the bus boycott in Alabama. If you don't know, Rosa Parks made a choice through sitting on a bus, 1957, if I'm not mistaken. That one choice, her not to give up her seat. I may have gotten the years wrong, but she made one choice to not give up her seat. And this action of her choosing not to give up her seat led to the biggest bus boycott, one of the biggest bus boycotts in American history, one of the largest. The SCLC, led by Martin Luther King at the time, were looking for an opportunity to organize Black Americans, African Americans, to do something. And Parks' courage was a tipping point at the time. It led to some decisions being made. Her being taken off the bus. She wasn't the first person that took this action, but her action began to cause the ball to roll. Her action led to hundreds of folks agreeing to not get on the bus and literally squeeze the economy in Montgomery. Literally, the city started losing money because these folks were decided, you know what, we're not going to get on the bus. We know that it's going to be tough for us, but we're not going to get on the bus because we recognize we need to be treated differently in this space. And your movement may not be that big. Your movement could be growing your business, consistently going to the gym, and making gains. It could be reading, it could be learning. But it got to start with a moment. It starts with a moment. Moments that leads to movements are sustained by consistency. You have to do the action over and over again. All that Rosa Parks did would have been for naught if people got back on the bus the very next day or the next week or the next month. They were doing this for a while. And it was based on the fact that these people took the time to say, you know what? We are not going to tolerate being treated the way that we're being treated. We're not going to keep tolerating because we are expecting you to treat us the way we should be treated. But it was because of their decision. They took action upon themselves. They said, listen, hey, this is our opportunity. The SCLC said, you know what? This is our opportunity. Our friend Rosa Parks has been handcuffed, taken down to the county jail, and is at risk of being put in prison. But this is our opportunity to organize around this very tricky moment in history and do something that matters. The thing I like to raise to you is, and I've been saying it the whole time, is what are you going to do when it's your turn? What are you going to do? Are you going to pretend like it doesn't matter? No. What are you going to do? Because it does matter. It does matter that you react the right way. Because as I said, every action has a reaction. It matters that you think about what is it going to reveal about you? What are people going to see because you took action? Like, it does matter that you think about and consider how your moment can actually lead to momentum, how your decision can lead to something shifting around you. And you have to consider that because you have momentum, now it's time to be consistent and create a movement. It's not going to stay the same way because you have been sitting up here engaging in ways that you need to engage. I'm so glad to be back. I'm so happy to be back because I have so much to share with you and so many things to talk about you. And I hope to see you next time here on Leading with Lee. Much love, and I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you for watching and or listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee. If you have not done it yet, subscribe on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. If you want to get more information and connect with me, visit me at www.leeascott.com or follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Lee A. Scott II or Lee A. Scott II. So, thank you for watching, much love, and let's get started.